Let me ask you something. How many dreams have died, not because people weren't capable, not because they lacked talent, but because they simply couldn't get out of bed? Laziness, the silent killer of greatness, the invisible enemy of destiny. It doesn't shout, it whispers, it convinces you that 5 more minutes won't hurt, that tomorrow is a better day to start, that success can wait. But here's the truth, it can't, because the clock is ticking. Every second you waste in comfort, someone else is working to take your spot. Discipline is greater than motivation, and this is a truth that most people never fully grasp. You see, motivation is seductive. It's a burst of energy, a spark that tells you, you can do this. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like a tide. You cannot build an empire on tides alone. Motivation will make you feel like starting, but it won't make you finish. It won't make you rise early when your body screams for 5 more minutes of sleep. It won't make you push through the moments when your mind is begging for rest. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't ask for your feelings. It doesn't wait for inspiration to strike or for the stars to align. Discipline is relentless, and it is the only force that transforms intention into action. Let me tell you something most people don't understand. Talent alone will not take you to the top. Passion alone will not make your life extraordinary. Motivation alone is a luxury for the average. If you want to reach heights where others only dream of going, you need a foundation stronger than feeling. You need discipline. Discipline is the muscle that grows stronger every time you choose to do what needs to be done over what feels comfortable. Every early morning you rise while the world sleeps. Every moment you push yourself to work harder when excuses beg you to stop, you are flexing that muscle. And like any muscle, the more you exercise it, the more it shapes your character and your destiny. Laziness will whisper in your ear. It will tell you, rest, you deserve a break. You can start tomorrow, you'll catch up later. But the disciplined person knows that rest comes after results, not before. They understand that each moment spent resisting laziness compounds into power. This is the difference between the person who complains about missed opportunities and the person who creates them. Here's the hook. The world does not care about your feelings. It does not reward the person who wants success, but waits to feel ready. The world rewards the person who acts, the person who shows up, the person who executes. Discipline allows you to show up even when your mind is tired, even when your body protests, even when everything inside you is screaming for delay. It forces you to create action regardless of circumstance. And this is the secret most people miss. They confuse waiting for motivation with preparation for success. You do not wait for energy. You generate it through action. You do not wait to feel inspired. Inspiration follows action. When you commit to discipline, you start to see results you never thought possible. You start to understand that the impossible is only impossible for those who rely on feeling rather than action. The disciplined person wakes up before the world and takes control of their schedule. They don't negotiate with their excuses. They don't let comfort dictate their progress. Discipline builds momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. A single disciplined habit, repeated consistently, will outpace 100 bursts of motivation that fade after a week. The average person believes that extraordinary results require extraordinary effort. I tell you the truth, extraordinary results require ordinary effort done consistently, with precision, with ruthless discipline. Let me hit you with another truth. Laziness is not an external enemy. It is not waiting outside your door to ambush you. Laziness is cultivated inside you. It grows every time you choose comfort over action, every time you let motivation dictate your schedule instead of discipline. And if you do not master discipline, laziness will master you. It will control your mornings, steal your afternoons, and rob you of your nights. Your potential will remain dormant, your talent wasted, and your dreams will die quietly while you wait for a feeling that will never come. But when you embrace discipline, you are taking the steering wheel of your life. You are saying no to mediocrity and yes to execution. You are building a reputation of reliability, resilience, and relentless pursuit. The hook here is subtle but deadly. The person who relies on motivation is like a firework. They sparkle brightly for a moment and then fade into darkness. The person who relies on discipline is like the sun. They rise every day, rain or shine, and illuminate everything in their path. One creates temporary excitement, the other creates permanent impact. Success is not a one-time event. It is the result of repeated, disciplined actions over time. And every action you take when you do not feel like it is a victory over your own weaknesses, a silent but powerful message to the universe that you are committed to your destiny. Discipline is not about punishment or rigidity. It is about freedom, the freedom to decide your future rather than have your future decided for you. It is about creating leverage in your life, about converting your effort into results, about building a system that works even when your motivation fails. Motivation will abandon you, feelings will betray you, circumstances will disappoint you, but discipline is constant. It is the silent force behind every great achievement in history. People who achieve greatness do not do so because they felt like it. They do so because they developed the unshakable habit of doing what must be done every day without fail. So if you want to rise above mediocrity, if you want to claim the life that others only dream of, you must understand that discipline is greater than motivation. It is the fire that burns long after the spark of inspiration has died. It is the force that will carry you through fatigue, frustration, and failure. And the moment you accept this truth, your life changes forever because you stop waiting for motivation and start building momentum. You stop hoping for results and start commanding them. And you stop allowing laziness to dictate your destiny. Your routine defines your destiny, and this is the silent truth that separates the average from the extraordinary. Most people underestimate the power of their daily actions. They believe that success comes from one grand opportunity, one brilliant idea, or one lucky break. They are wrong. The reality is that greatness is not stumbled upon. It is engineered through the accumulation of deliberate, intentional choices repeated day after day. Your routine is the architecture of your life. Every decision you make, every habit you cultivate, every minute you spend intentionally shapes who you become. And here's the hook that shocks most people. A poorly constructed routine is a slow-moving death sentence for your potential. You can be talented, intelligent, and capable, but if your routine is chaotic, inconsistent, or lazy, success will evade you, and you will wonder why your dreams remain just that, dreams. The truth is, most people live reactively. They wake up and allow their phones, notifications, and distractions to dictate the course of their day. They let social media, emails, and endless scrolling replace purpose and priority. They live as if the day belongs to someone else, forgetting that every hour they waste is a building block taken away from their future. The world rewards those who control their time, those who master their routine, and those who refuse to be a slave to distraction. A strong routine is not merely about being busy, it is about being intentional. It is about deciding in advance what matters most and ensuring that your energy, attention, and effort are allocated accordingly. Here's a hook that will make you uncomfortable. The difference between the high achievers and the rest is not luck, intelligence, or connections. It is consistency. You may not see dramatic results after a single day of focus, but the power of repeated, deliberate action compounds over time. 1 hour spent wisely every day becomes 365 hours a year. One habit formed and executed consistently transforms your life in ways that feel impossible until they happen. And the frightening part is, the same principle applies in reverse. Small acts of neglect, procrastination, and distraction repeated daily will compound into years of mediocrity. The routine you build, therefore, is the map to your destiny. Every sunrise is a chance to follow that map with precision or to wander aimlessly and allow life to slip by. Your routine is also the mechanism through which you overcome the invisible enemy called laziness. Laziness thrives in uncertainty and chaos. It loves to hide behind indecision, distraction, and delay. But when you construct a powerful routine, laziness loses its grip. You no longer rely on willpower or fleeting motivation because your day is structured, your habits are non-negotiable, and your actions are automatic. The hook here is that the human brain loves structure. When you create a routine, you are not restricting yourself. You are liberating yourself from the tyranny of indecision, from the endless internal debates that slow your progress. Discipline becomes easier because your day is pre-planned. Energy is preserved because you know exactly where it needs to go. And focus becomes effortless because your routine removes the noise and distractions that would otherwise derail you. Another critical point to understand is that routines are not about monotony. They are about mastery. Mastery of yourself, your time, and your priorities. You do not need to wait for the perfect moment to start building the life you want. You need to start now, intentionally designing each day to serve your bigger purpose. High performers wake up before the world and execute a routine that sharpens their mind, strengthens their body, and elevates their spirit. They read, they train, they plan, they focus, and they review their progress relentlessly. And here's the hook that most people ignore. The most mundane actions, repeated with consistency, will outperform sporadic bursts of effort fueled by motivation or emotion. Small, structured steps taken daily produce momentum, and momentum, once it builds, is unstoppable. Your routine is also your shield against excuses. When the day is planned, when priorities are clear, when actions are non-negotiable, there is no room for, "I don't feel like it," or "I'll start tomorrow." You remove the option to procrastinate. You remove the chaos that allows laziness to flourish. And over time, these habits become a part of your identity. You are no longer someone who tries to be productive. You become someone whose productivity is inevitable because it is built into the framework of your life. This is the hook that will change the way you see every day. Success is not about rare moments of brilliance. It is about designing your life in such a way that brilliance becomes the natural outcome of your disciplined daily routine. Finally, let me give you a wake-up call. If you are waiting for inspiration to build your routine, you will wait forever. Routines are not inspired. They are created. They are engineered. They are the decisions you make today, intentionally, with foresight, knowing that the small, consistent actions of now will determine the monumental outcomes of tomorrow. The more you respect your routine, the more it will respect you. The more you protect your time, the more time will reward you. And the more intentional you become with your daily actions, the faster you will accelerate toward the life you desire. The moment you take control of your routine, you take control of your destiny. Laziness loses its power. Excuses disappear. Momentum becomes your ally. And the life you have always imagined is no longer a fantasy. It becomes inevitable because the architecture of your day, your week, and your habits now demands it. Your routine does not just guide you, it transforms you, shapes you, and ultimately defines the limits of your success. Comfort is the enemy of growth, and this is one of the harshest truths that most people refuse to face. Comfort is seductive, but it is a trap disguised as safety. It whispers sweetly in your ear, telling you that you have done enough for today, that you deserve a break, that tomorrow will be the right day to start. And while you listen to that voice, the world moves forward without you. Here's the hook. The very thing that feels safe and satisfying in the moment is often the thing that will destroy your future if you surrender to it. Comfort lulls you into mediocrity. It wraps you in the illusion of rest while silently killing your potential. Every great achiever in history has understood that growth requires discomfort. And the moment you choose comfort over challenge, you put yourself on a slow path to stagnation. Growth demands sacrifice. It demands that you step out of the warmth of what is familiar and face what is unknown, difficult, and sometimes painful. Comfort tells you to stay where you are. Growth tells you to move beyond, even when fear grips your heart. Laziness loves comfort because it hides behind it. Procrastination thrives in it. The hook here is brutal but simple. Every time you choose comfort over action, you are training yourself to accept less than your best. You are telling the world, and more importantly yourself, that your dreams are negotiable. And over time, this small compromise becomes a lifestyle of limitation. The life you want, the impact you want, the legacy you wish to leave cannot be built on comfort. It can only be built on relentless pursuit, repeated effort, and the willingness to embrace discomfort. The danger of comfort is subtle because it does not attack violently. It does not force you to fail in one dramatic moment. It creeps into your life quietly, guiding you toward routines that feel good but yield nothing, shaping your habits around ease instead of excellence. The hook here is terrifying. Most people will look back after 10, 20, or 30 years and realize that comfort, not external obstacles, was their greatest enemy. They will wonder why their potential remained untapped, why their results were average, and why the life they dreamed of never materialized. The truth is that comfort is not a reward, it is a prison. Every choice you make to settle, every moment you choose ease over effort, builds the bars around your potential. Comfort is not just about physical ease, it is about mental and emotional resistance to challenge. It is choosing to think small instead of big, to stay within the familiar instead of exploring the unknown, to avoid the discomfort of learning and growing. The hook here, every time you resist challenge, you delay progress, and every time you avoid discomfort, you delay transformation. The person who grows is not the one who waits for life to be easy. They are the one who steps forward when life is hard, who seeks challenges, who embraces struggle as a teacher, and who understands that every obstacle is an opportunity disguised as difficulty. The reality is this: your comfort zone is shrinking the potential of your life. The bigger the dreams you want to achieve, the more discomfort you must be willing to endure. The higher the goals you set, the more pain, sacrifice, and persistence will be required. Comfort is the great enemy because it makes you feel productive while keeping you stagnant. You check your phone, scroll social media, watch television, and tell yourself you are resting. But the truth is, you are wasting precious time that could have been invested in mastery, growth, and achievement. The hook is powerful. The life you want is on the other side of discomfort, and comfort is the wall standing between you and it. The key to overcoming comfort is intentional discomfort. You must learn to seek it out. You must schedule your challenges, embrace difficult conversations, pursue tasks that push your limits, and make yourself accountable to higher standards. This is what separates the mediocre from the remarkable. The mediocre cling to what feels easy. The remarkable thrive where others fear to tread. The hook here is undeniable. Every great success story you have ever heard was built on a foundation of intentional discomfort. The person who achieves extraordinary results does not wait for comfort. They create discomfort, face it head on, and grow through it. Your mind will resist. Your body will protest and your emotions will lie to you. But the disciplined person does not negotiate with comfort. They understand that growth is painful, progress is uncomfortable, and success is inconvenient. Laziness wants you to rest. Fear wants you to retreat, and comfort wants you to stay small. But the powerful person steps forward anyway. Every day you choose discomfort, you build resilience. Every challenge you embrace, you expand your capacity. Every fear you face, you strengthen your courage. And over time, the accumulation of these uncomfortable actions compounds into unstoppable momentum. The hook that most people miss. Comfort does not feel like failure until it is too late. You will not notice the damage in the moment. You will not realize the opportunity cost until years have passed. Every morning you stay in bed 5 minutes too long. Every hour spent scrolling instead of learning. Every task you avoid because it feels hard. These are bricks in the prison of comfort that holds back your life. Growth requires breaking those bricks one by one, relentlessly, consistently, with unflinching commitment. Discomfort becomes your ally when you understand its value. When you embrace it, you see that challenge sharpens your mind, pushes your limits, and expands your capacity for success. Comfort is temporary satisfaction. Discomfort is permanent transformation. The hook here is critical. The difference between who you are now and who you could be lies in the moments when you choose discomfort over ease. The life of greatness, the legacy you leave, the results that define your story, all depend on your willingness to step beyond comfort, to endure what others avoid, and to refuse to settle for less than your potential. Destroy the excuses before they destroy you. And understand this, excuses are the most dangerous silent killers of potential. They don't appear as disasters. They appear as harmless justifications, tiny lies that you tell yourself so you don't have to act. I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired. I don't have enough experience. The timing isn't right. These words feel safe, but in reality, they are chains. Each excuse builds another link in the prison of mediocrity that you are unknowingly constructing for yourself. Here's the hook. The very thing you are blaming for your lack of progress, time, circumstances, your background, your energy level has been given to every successful person in some form, and yet they achieved anyway. Excuses are not your reality. They are your choice. The truth is, every moment you give an excuse, you are giving up power. You are choosing comfort over responsibility, delay over action, fear over courage. Excuses are seductive because they make you feel justified. They make you feel like the reason you haven't achieved something is out of your control. But the moment you internalize this, you are no longer the commander of your life. You are a passenger. You are letting external factors dictate the speed, direction, and outcome of your existence. Here's the hook. People who succeed don't wait for the perfect circumstances, the perfect timing, or the perfect condition. They act anyway. They understand that progress is never waiting for ideal. It is taking what is available and turning it into advantage. Excuses are lies we tell ourselves to hide from accountability. They are the mental shortcuts that feel good now, but rob you of future greatness. The moment you say, I can't, because you are signing away a piece of your future. And over time, these small acts of avoidance compound into a life of unrealized dreams. The hook is sharp. If you do not confront your excuses today, they will confront you tomorrow with regret, with frustration, and with the haunting sense of wasted potential. Excuses are cowardice disguised as reason, and the people who succeed are those who have the courage to face themselves honestly, to call themselves out, and to act in spite of fear. Excuses also create a false sense of security. They make you feel like you are still in control, when in fact control has already slipped through your fingers. You convince yourself that you are being responsible by rationalizing your inaction. I'll learn later. I'm waiting for the right opportunity. I need more preparation. These are not preparation. They are procrastination in disguise. The hook is painful. Your dreams will never come knocking politely while you wait for the perfect moment. Life does not pause for indecision, and the market, the world, and opportunities will not wait for your excuses to expire. If you are not destroying them, someone else is taking what could have been yours. The battle against excuses begins with radical honesty. You must look at yourself and recognize where you have been avoiding responsibility. Where have you been allowing fear, doubt, or laziness to disguise itself as justification? Here's the hook. No one else can do this for you. Your friends, family, mentors, or colleagues cannot eliminate your excuses. Only you have the power to confront them, to dismantle them, and to replace them with action. Accountability is not external, it is internal. And once you take full responsibility for your life, the landscape changes. Excuses no longer hold sway. Fear loses its power. Laziness is exposed for what it really is, a choice. Excuses also rob you of credibility and momentum. Every time you rationalize delay, you train your mind to tolerate mediocrity. You train yourself to accept less than your potential. And here's the hook that hits hard. Every successful person you admire achieved not because they were free of fear, doubt, or obstacles, but because they refused to let excuses determine their actions. Excuses are not obstacles. They are voluntary limitations you place on yourself. They are voluntary chains. They are voluntary barriers to your success. The difference between someone who dreams and someone who achieves is the ability to act despite excuses, to convert fear into fuel, and to transform delay into determination. The power of destroying excuses is transformational because it changes your identity. When you refuse to accept excuses, you become someone who acts, who executes, who responds with results instead of reasons. You start to see challenges as invitations, not obstacles. You start to take ownership of your life rather than blame the world. The hook here is undeniable. Your success is a mirror of your ability to eliminate excuses. The moment you stop justifying inaction, you begin to experience the relentless momentum that comes from consistent, decisive effort. Every great achievement in history has been preceded by countless moments where excuses could have held someone back. The difference between the person who succeeded and the person who didn't is not luck or talent. It is the refusal to allow excuses to control the narrative. Every I can't that is replaced with I will is a small victory, but these victories compound into extraordinary momentum. The hook is compelling. If you do not destroy your excuses, they will destroy the life you were capable of creating. And if you start today, you gain control, power, and freedom that most people will never experience because they continue to let excuses write their story. Win the morning, win the day. And this is not just a cliche, it is the principle that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The morning is the quiet battlefield where futures are decided. Before the world stirs, before emails flood in, before distractions demand your attention, the choices you make in the early hours set the tone for everything that follows. Here's the hook. The person who dominates their morning dominates their life. The person who allows the morning to be stolen by comfort, hesitation, or distraction surrenders control. And the rest of the day becomes a series of reactive decisions rather than intentional victories. You cannot underestimate the power of how you start, because the first hours of your day are the foundation upon which your momentum is built. The truth is, most people wake up and immediately hand their day to someone else. They check their phones, respond to notifications, scroll social media, and allow external noise to dictate their energy. They wait for inspiration to strike instead of engineering it through deliberate action. The hook here is uncomfortable. Your dreams are not waiting for you to be ready. Opportunity does not pause for your distractions. Success does not knock on the door of those who hit snooze or scroll mindlessly. The moment you rise with intention, you seize control of your day. You set the rhythm for your actions, and you force the world to meet you where you are, prepared, alert, and unshakable. The morning is where discipline becomes tangible. It is where the decisions you make are not influenced by fatigue, emotion, or the chaos of the day. It is where habits are forged and momentum begins. The hook is undeniable. Every extraordinary achievement begins with someone who refuses to waste the first hours of their day. They read when others sleep. They train when others procrastinate. They plan when others drift. And the cumulative effect of these mornings becomes unstoppable. Each sunrise is an opportunity to edge closer to mastery, closer to clarity, closer to the life you envision. The morning also sets your mental state, which dictates your productivity, creativity, and focus. When you begin with intention, your mind is aligned, your priorities are clear, and your actions are purposeful. Conversely, when you drift through the morning passively, your energy is fragmented, your focus is scattered, and your results diminish. The hook here is critical. The quality of your morning dictates the quality of your day. The small choices you make before the world demands your attention create ripple effects that carry through every interaction, every task, and every decision. If you dominate these hours, you dominate the day. If you surrender them, you surrender your progress. Morning routines are also your armor against distraction. In a world designed to steal your focus, the disciplined morning becomes a fortress. The hook is sharp. If you do not guard your mornings, your day will be stolen, your energy squandered, and your potential delayed. The habits you build in these hours, exercise, reading, planning, reflection, compound over time. They build mental toughness, physical resilience, and strategic clarity. Every small victory in the morning, no matter how insignificant it feels in the moment, is an investment in your future. And like any investment, the returns are exponential when compounded consistently over weeks, months, and years. The morning is also the proving ground for your priorities. The choices you make before obligations and distractions arrive reveal what truly matters to you. If your morning is consumed by noise, trivial tasks, or comfort, it is a silent confession that you have allowed convenience to dictate your priorities. The hook is revealing. The person who wins their mornings is the person who knows their priorities and structures their life around them. They are intentional with their time, ruthless with their focus, and relentless with their execution. Every action taken in the early hours is amplified, and every inaction is magnified. Consistency is the secret weapon of morning mastery. One day of discipline creates a spark. A habit repeated daily creates an inferno. The hook here, most people fail because they underestimate the power of repetition. They believe that one productive morning is enough, or that occasional focus will yield results. They are wrong. The extraordinary are ordinary people who refuse to compromise on their mornings day after day because they understand that each sunrise is an opportunity to gain a competitive edge that nobody else has. Momentum is built silently in these hours, and when carried through the day, it becomes unstoppable. Finally, the morning is where you claim authority over your life. It is where you tell yourself, your goals, and the world that you are not a victim of circumstance, that you are not bound by fatigue or distraction, and that your life will not be dictated by chaos. The hook is profound. The person who wins their morning wins their day, and the person who wins their day wins their life. Master your mornings, and you master everything that follows. Miss them, and every moment thereafter becomes a reaction rather than a creation, a compromise rather than a conquest, a drift rather than a deliberate trajectory toward greatness. Action is the cure to laziness, and this is the distinction between those who dream and those who achieve. Too many people sit paralyzed in the waiting room of motivation, believing that one day they will feel ready, one day the conditions will be perfect, one day inspiration will descend like lightning and ignite their purpose. Let me tell you the hook that most ignore. Waiting to feel ready is the fastest route to irrelevance. Motivation is unreliable, fleeting, and unpredictable. Action, on the other hand, is measurable, tangible, and unstoppable. The first step, no matter how small, has the power to change the trajectory of your life because momentum is created by movement, not thought. You cannot think your way out of laziness. You must act your way out. The human mind is wired to respond to motion. The moment you act, energy is generated. The moment you move, clarity emerges. The moment you take the first step, your brain begins to create pathways for further action. Here's the hook. Action is contagious within yourself. You start with one small task, and suddenly a cascade of productivity follows. You do not wait for courage. Courage is born in the doing. You do not wait for clarity. Clarity comes from movement. Laziness thrives on hesitation, procrastination, and overthinking. Action kills it. The lazy mind will debate, deliberate, and delay, but the person committed to action understands that perfect conditions are an illusion, and the only real condition necessary for progress is to start. Every great achievement in history began with one decisive act. There was a moment when the entrepreneur launched their first product. The athlete took their first training session seriously. The leader made their first bold move. None of these people were motivated every second. They acted despite fear, doubt, fatigue, and uncertainty. The hook here is relentless. The difference between success and stagnation is not talent, opportunity, or luck. It is the willingness to act when it would be easier to wait. Momentum does not wait for motivation. Results do not wait for inspiration. Action is the engine of progress, and laziness is the brake. Action also creates resilience. The moment you take responsibility for movement, you start to see obstacles not as deterrents, but as challenges to overcome. Laziness convinces you that problems are permanent barriers. Action proves they are temporary, manageable, and conquerable. The hook is striking. The more you act, the more you learn, the more you grow, and the more unstoppable you become. Every failure becomes a lesson, every challenge becomes a stepping stone, and every moment of inaction lost to hesitation is replaced with confidence, competence, and results. Laziness cannot survive in a person who refuses to pause. It cannot thrive where action is constant. The beauty of action is that it compounds. One step forward leads to another. One completed task leads to another. And small, consistent efforts accumulate into extraordinary outcomes. The hook here is simple but devastating. The person who delays will always find themselves behind, while the person who acts relentlessly will always be ahead. Action creates a rhythm, a system, and a habit that becomes unstoppable. Laziness is never defeated in a single effort. It is crushed over time under the weight of repeated decisive action. Another critical truth is that action builds self-respect. Every time you do what you said you would do, every time you start when you did not feel like it, you are strengthening your identity. You are becoming the kind of person who does not wait for life to happen, but makes life happen. The hook here, laziness erodes identity because it teaches you to compromise, to rationalize, to settle for less. Action rebuilds it moment by moment, decision by decision. Each act of execution is a declaration. I am not a passenger in my life. I am the driver. I am not waiting. I am creating. I am not lazy. I am unstoppable. Action also turns fear into momentum. The longer you wait, the larger fear grows. The more you hesitate, the heavier inaction becomes. But when you act, fear diminishes. The hook is undeniable. Movement is the antidote to fear because fear cannot survive in motion. The body in motion stays in motion. The mind in motion stays focused. Momentum accelerates and laziness fades, powerless against the force of consistent execution. Finally, action teaches accountability. You cannot hide behind excuses, circumstances, or hesitation when you are acting. Every decision, every step, and every movement has consequences, and every consequence teaches you something valuable. The hook here is profound. The person who acts learns faster, grows stronger, and achieves more because they refuse to let excuses, fear, or laziness dictate their story. The lazy person waits for opportunity to knock. The person who acts creates opportunity. The lazy person dreams. The actor builds. The lazy person stagnates. The actor moves, progresses, and conquers. Action is not glamorous. It is not always comfortable. It does not guarantee instant results. But the moment you embrace action as your weapon against laziness, everything changes. You stop waiting for permission from motivation, clarity, or circumstances. You start creating your own momentum. You start dictating the terms of your life. And here is the hook that will shake you. The life you have always imagined exists only on the other side of action. Every goal, every dream, every milestone is waiting for you, but it will never come to the person who hesitates. Start, move, execute. Momentum will follow, laziness will vanish, and results will be inevitable.